What's up, y'all? Today we have another episode of the Match Point podcast, and I have my Caribbean brother here, Kaipo Marshall. Kaipo, just tell the people a little bit about yourself, your journey, how you got into tennis. I know you went to college and just being on the pro tour right now.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on. Doing great things, loving the content.
Yes.
So I was super excited to be on the podcast. But let me think. Where do I start? I grew up in Barbados, and I played a bunch of sports there. Played football, played tennis, cricket, pretty much anything I could get my hands on. And over time, I kind of narrowed it down onto football and tennis alone. And then there was the under 14 ITF in Barbados, and I won that. And I was like, all right, I'm liking the tennis. I'm going to stick with the tennis. And since then, it's been all about tennis. And at 15, I already started playing Davis Cup for Barbados, which was very early to get into a very successful team. So I was very honored about that. And then I went to college. First I went to Florida for a year or two, just to kind of get my ranking, my UTR up, to then be able to go to college, play D1 tennis. I went to school in Pittsburgh, and I really enjoyed my time there. So graduated last year, and now I'm continue playing as much as I can, and playing as many futures as I can, just to get my ranking up and to be ready for when Davis Cup happens.
Yeah. That's solid, bro. I know what it's like being from the Caribbean. It's kind of tough. So I mean, tell me how it was growing up playing tennis in Barbados.
Yeah, I mean, life in Barbados is sweet, but it's a very small island.
Yeah.
So, I was playing local tournaments all year round, playing against the same people all the time. And at some point, you kind of reach, a ceiling where it's like, all right, how do I get better? I'm not playing anyone better than me anymore. Like, what do I do? And that's kind of why I decided to go to Florida, kind of get, that experience outside of the island, and just see how they're training over there. It was a whole different vibe, like they train twice a day. I was never doing that. I was just training once a day. And it kind of opened my eyes to what others are doing, and then that kind of like fueled me even more to realize, all right, I gotta get everything in order now. I gotta push hard so that I could go to a good school and continue to get better, because the last thing I wanted to do was to go to university and get worse, to be honest, because I feel like I've seen that happen so many times, and that was my biggest fear. And I told myself I did not want that to happen to me. So, yeah.
Can't work backwards. Might as well.
Hate that.
And get worse.
Hate that.
But how do you think, like, I hear you talk about college tennis. How do you think that shaped you as like a player and a person in those fields?
Yeah, I've been reflecting a lot on it recently. I think college tennis I went to school in January, and it was kind of COVID time still. Yeah. And everything was kind of separated, and in the beginning it was hard to kind of connect with the people in Pittsburgh, because obviously I have a very different background to anybody I would meet there. But luckily the tennis team was super cool, and I kind of settled down eventually, and obviously went straight into the season as well. And I think I played 3 my first year. But it was good opponents almost every single match.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like jumping in, and obviously I wanted to have an impact like right away. So I guess there was a little bit of pressure there, but luckily I had a good start. And then from there it just got better and better. And as a person, I've definitely gained a lot from it. I did economics, and there was a lot of presentations in front of my classmates and my teachers, and I think that especially I feel like I took a lot away from that, especially because in Barbados you didn't really have to present that much. It wasn't really, included in the schedule,
Yeah.
yeah, in the syllabus. But I will say school in Barbados was tough. I don't know how it is in Bahamas, but when I went to the States, it was
Something
actually,
serious, bro.
yeah. When I went to the States, it was actually easier. Like my first 2 years, I was like, this is easier than what I was doing in Barbados.
Yeah.
Once you do your work, you're gonna get a good grade, I feel like. But obviously, it gets harder, and it depends what you do, and it depends on the school as well.
Yeah.
Every school is different, but I think just like connecting with people was a big part of why college tennis was really, the college route was good for me.
That's good. What do you think is like the hardest part though, like of being a college tennis player that a lot of people don't really
Yeah,
necessarily see?
yeah. I saw this thing recently about like if you're going in for a job, is you should like mention that as one of the first things. Like you did college sport, Division 1, those coaches, they don't play around. Like you have 6 a.m. practices, you gotta wake up at 5 o'clock. In
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, I was waking up in the dark, and sometimes I'll go to practice, play 2 hours, and come outside, and it's still dark outside, like and cold. Like it's very very cold. Like I'm not used to that. So I think the early wake ups and then like the having to manage a lot of different things at the same time, I think that is underestimated. I don't think everyone is very good at it. I think if you go to college and you play a sport, you have to become good at it, and it kind of forces you to be
Yeah.
disciplined with that kind of stuff. But other than that, I don't know. I think it really depends on the situation. It college, I feel like it depends on your team, and it depends on that environment. Because some schools might be more relaxed with some things, but then other schools might be more, strict with having to win and like making the lineup and that kind of stuff. Luckily, I didn't have to deal with that because luckily I was one of the better players on the team. But I know if you're playing number 6 or you're kind of fighting for that spot, that's tough as well. That's
Yeah. And
because
it
then you're
plays
not playing,
like a little mental battle with
for
yourself
sure.
too,
I always said those guys have it harder than
than
those at
us
the
at the
top.
top,
Yeah,
honestly.
because every single time they play, it
You have to
matters
wonder,
so
oh,
much.
if I
It
play
ma-
if I play like shit, I'm out the lineup. Like,
exactly. So I don't think in that situation, in that case, I didn't have it hard. But college brings a lot of different, challenges, and right now
yeah,
I can't think of all. But once you go through it, you realize,
yeah,
what you can do better and what you can, improve on. So
yeah. That's true. College, something serious, boy.
you gotta tell me about your experience. Yours might be way different to mine, to be honest. I feel
For
like
me, for me, you know how it is like a HBCU.
it's as
So
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you because
really,
my
yeah,
school was predominantly white, so I was
yeah.
a standout.
So how it is a HBCU, so it's like it's pretty inclusive, and it's a school that like it brings everyone together. Like
Mm.
they don't really they don't really separate different people or be discriminatory.
Yeah, yeah,
I think that's one of the best things about the school, and also, I mean, just coming from we come from Caribbean, come from
hmm,
Bahamas, Barbados, and
yeah,
predominantly black countries.
yeah,
So I think for me it was a good experience going there just because it felt like kind of like home in a
hmm,
way
yeah.
because I went when I was
You went
17.
early. You went
Yeah,
a
I
year
went
early.
early,
Mm.
went a year early, so I think that also helped like for my parents, feeling like I was in a comfortable place.
Yeah,
But bro, if you don't have your head on at Howard, you done for. Between the woman, the parties, it's serious over there.
I
I
heard
talk
about
every day. Like,
cause yeah, I know some other people that went to like Hampton, for example. I'm sure it's like similar, but
yeah,
I didn't really have to deal with that. I mean, in Pittsburgh, it was more like you had to go searching for that. It wasn't like right in front of you, So I think that was probably good for me, to kind of keep my head on. So
yeah, like they used to have day parties while because our courts, because Howard is in the middle of Washington, D.C.
Mm.
So, that's the city. So
Yeah,
we didn't necessarily have our own courts, but there's courts like that are right there where we would usually play at.
yeah.
And like they'd have day parties
Going on
right
around the
now.
course.
Like, I'm talking like 300 to 400 people because there's a baseball field, music blasting, all you can smell is weed in the air, just bottles popping. And then the problem with all of that is, since it's right by the courts would get so dirty after the
uh,
parties. And
yeah,
then
so
coach would come talking about some, we have to clean up.
damn,
Bro, I'm
damn.
talking, I filled up 5 trash bags in like 5 minutes just because all the trash was in one
No
place.
way. Yeah.
So
So they were
between all,
going on the courts. The courts aren't even like locked up.
nah. Bro, Howard Court's in the trenches, bro. Like Banneker's the trenches. Like that's why when we go and play matches, we be like we could deal with anything, bro.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
For me, it
small.
was interesting actually because like I chose the school I went to was Duquesne University,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I had some other offers like I can't remember right now, but I remember I chose Duquesne because it seemed more like the level of everything seemed really high, like the gym, the school, how they carried around with the team and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I get to the school and I'm like, all right, practice tomorrow. Like, when do I have to be? Where are the courts? Blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Courts aren't even on campus, bro.
How far were the courts, bro?
Well, at least 15 minutes driving
Every day.
every day. Yep, and if there's traffic, at least 30 minutes.
So
So,
y'all would move together though.
yeah. So we would meet at the van. Like, let's say we had 6 a.m. practice. We would meet at the van at 6, probably get to the courts at 6:15, and then
Yeah.
practice until 8:30, and then, yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, I assumed, I was like, because obviously, like, you don't know. I personally, I didn't know a lot about D1 tennis in
Yeah.
general. Like, I was kind of learning as I go. I was the one looking for schools, like making the decisions. Like, I did go through an agency, but I was still doing most of the
Work.
work myself. And then, so I just assume, D1 tennis, like, courts are gonna be on
Everything's
campus for
straight.
sure.
Everything's set.
Yeah, for sure. And then I get there and it's not. I'm like, damn, bro, I gotta deal with this now for 4 years. Like,
Yeah, bro. But that's something a lot of people don't realize either. Like they
yeah,
see D1 and they think like, oh, like schools like ours are
yeah.
the same as like,
And
Ohio
then,
State.
yeah, then I would
You
go
know, it's
to
not levels.
close to my school is Carnegie Mellon. I think they're D3, if I'm
Yeah,
correct, but like good D3, and they have like these insane tennis courts like in the middle of the campus with students walking around, like a big field to watch the courts. Like, we would go there and play all the time, and I was like, how is this here? And then
we
D1
straight.
does not have that.
Yeah,
But I guess it's always a trade off, like you can't
yeah,
get everything unless you go to the best of the best. But
yeah.
I needed, I'm sure you're in the same boat. We needed a good amount of scholarships, so
Exactly.
I wasn't going to walk
Think
on
what you
any
could get.
team or anything like that. Yeah,
Yeah, but I know college tennis. I know like college experience. So, have you had any like crazy nights before practice or a match?
yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I wasn't that crazy, to be
Yeah,
honest. I kind of always had my head on.
yeah,
Um, But for sure, I had teammates. We had 6 a.m. practice. They didn't sleep. They just came straight from the bar, like put on clothes, and they're at the vans and they're practicing. So I never had that. Maybe I should have been a little bit more reckless sometimes, but I never really like went straight from the bar to practice. But obviously, it's still. I feel like even if you aren't a big partier in college, where I was particularly, I feel like you still had to. You didn't have to, but to meet people, you like had to go out. Like
yeah,
like meeting someone in person during the day was completely different than when you go out and you see them. I know, but you will probably be different. But I'm
yeah,
telling you, at my school, like talking about girls and stuff, like girls during the day, completely the opposite to how they are at night. Like I remember I
Well, you
saw this.
forgot those threes turn to tens type. Type.
Yeah, like completely, they changed completely, and it's not even like about the drinks or anything. It's just like they feel more relaxed
Yeah,
to connect. I don't know. So definitely when I turned 21, then I started like tapping into that side
yeah.
of things. But I always behave myself, so it wasn't too crazy.
Good, good, good.
Sorry, I wish I could tell you like a crazy story, but
No, no, I know your family members would be happy to hear that. I'm
yeah,
happy
man,
for you right
I
now.
got I gotta tell you the truth. I gotta tell you the truth.
But what was that transition like after you graduated to now like just playing professionally?
Yeah, yeah. It was big change. Because in college everything is taken care of,
Yeah,
and you kind of have everything at the tip of your fingers. You can. I had a contact for almost anybody that would be able to help me with anything.
yeah,
So let's say I wanted, obviously when it comes to athletic trainers, someone's always there. A doctor, someone's always there. Like anything to do with school, anything to do with, even if you're not feeling good, like there was someone to talk to,
yeah,
someone to help. And then obviously when I graduated, that all changed because it kind of all became in my hands, and I had to do all the planning, and I just had to make all these decisions. It's a lot about decision making, because I feel like even before college, like there was always like a route that most people followed. Like when you're younger, you were gonna play ITFs in Barbados or in the Caribbean, and then you were trying to get your UTR up so that you could go to college, and then you go through college, you do what they tell you to do, you play the matches they tell you to do, and then once you graduate, it's like, all right, like now I actually have to decide what it is that I want to do.
yeah,
And obviously I want to keep playing. Barbados is in a really good place, Davis Cup wise, and
yeah,
at that point I was playing matches already. So I was like, all right, I want to keep playing, I want to get better, and I want to continue contributing to the team, because I think Davis Cup was always like kind of my childhood like dream in a way. I would see the
yeah,
matches at home and I would just be amazed. We went to Group One and stuff, so I was like, wow, these guys are really like laying it on the line. With
yeah,
Darian and with Hayden, especially. So I knew I wanted to keep playing, and so I graduated, and then I went straight to tournaments in Jamaica, and I remember it was tough because I had just graduated and I was moving out of Pittsburgh. I wasn't really playing that much, and but there was these tournaments in the Caribbean, so I was like, all right, I gotta go. I gotta still try,
yeah,
and I think it was two actually, not three. So I went there, and I think I got some doubles points. I think that was the most, and some ITF, in the qualifying rounds, that kind
yeah.
of stuff. And then I decided to go to Germany for club matches. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but
Yeah, I know.
yeah. So I went there for probably like 2 months, and I was kind of getting experience on the clay because I never played on the clay, and in Barbados we don't really have much clay at all.
Yeah,
So that was a good learning experience to say the least. I wasn't winning many matches because I was playing number one for this club and playing against like 400 ATP players, like past like really good players. So it was good experience for me. And then after that, I just hopping around and kind of taking what the next best opportunity for me. Obviously, the funds are not unlimited, so I
yeah.
kind of just take whatever's available sometimes, and play as many tournaments as I can. So yeah, it's been a interesting journey. It's been over a year now, and I've definitely learned a lot, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying traveling the world, and I want to keep keep doing it. So that's what I'll do.
Solid, bro.
Yeah.
But I know, like, for example, like how you traveling by yourself right now. Like, what's something that people don't necessarily realize about life on like the tour?
Yeah, I think everyone's life on the tour is different, especially now with the coaching rules where you can have a coach telling you, on the court like advice and that kind of stuff. Like most of the matches I'm playing, is me against the player, and then at least one or sometimes like my last match, three people on the sideline. So I think that definitely builds character, and it definitely realizes like what works for you personally. But I think what people don't realize is, you have to really put yourself out there in regard to like getting, in my situation, like sponsorships, like funds to be able to go travel. That's like a whole different side of the game that people don't see. And then after that, you hear all the time you're traveling a lot by yourself, and you kind of have to, as I told you before, you have to do it all by yourself. So it definitely is not an easy route, especially you're playing against good players, and if it's not always going your way, you have all this time on your hands, then your thoughts kind of go all over the place. But I think it's important to remind yourself why you do it, and just realize that this is the life that this is the life that I chose, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else right now. So that's kind of what keeps me going.
Because I know like it gets pretty lonely, bro. Like I watch a lot of like different YouTubers like Carousel and those type of guys. Obviously, Caru is different story.
Yeah, different. Yeah.
But like I think a lot of people don't understand like how mentally taxing it could be.
Yep.
Like especially in terms of like how you spoke about the sponsorships, like
Yeah.
because me and one of my Davis Cup teammates, we were talking, we were like, a lot of those guys in Europe, like they get so lucky to get sponsorships from young, and they just play with basically no like stress,
Yeah, I
And
mean,
so,
it's not even sponsored to just travel too, like equipment, like
exactly, like
equipment
it's
is
so
not cheap,
expensive.
not cheap.
You popping strings, you gotta
Popping
get
strings, I pop strings every practice and a half, and then, bro, it's tough. Like obviously,
yeah,
the more connections you have, the better. So I
yeah,
try to like build those connections with different like a string company or the racket brand and that kind of stuff. But most of the times, you're still spending a lot of money on that stuff. So
yeah.
it's never ending. I feel like if there's always money leaving my pocket, and then I don't know, it's tough to see it come back in.
You guys played Poland one year.
Yeah.
You played Hurkacz.
Yep.
What was that like? Like what was that experience playing with Hurkacz?
Yeah. I remember. I remember before the tie, we didn't know if he was gonna play.
Yeah,
So it was kind of up in the air, and we were just going through our, preparation and stuff. And then eventually, like, we heard, okay, he's gonna be playing. So, at that point, I'm like, okay, like I can't really like do anything about it right now. I'm just gonna keep doing my thing and try and put together my best level before going to Poland. And I remember we go there, and we already had like a few days together as a team, which was nice. And we were kind of, all kind of coming together already, and the team was all in good vibes and stuff.
yeah.
And we were practicing in Poland maybe for one day or two, and then the big man arrives in the McLaren. You can hear him before you
And
even
I'm
see him
there.
in the orange McLaren, and then the media was already there because obviously they had word that he was coming,
Yeah,
and this is in Poland. He's Polish, so it was crazy media following him all around. Like he could barely get onto the court because he had to do all these interviews and stuff. And we're on the second court just trying to practice, trying to focus on our stuff. But obviously it was kind of hard to not notice what was going on next door.
yeah,
And I remember, I think I had I had tell everybody come together, the team, and I was like, all right, guys, like me trying to take a little bit of a not a leadership role, but I just want to say
yeah,
my 2 cents. I was like, all right, like obviously there's a lot going on there, but I think we should just focus on what we're doing, and not worry about what's going on over there. And then me trying to be all serious, and then all of a sudden Hurkacz comes over, and he goes straight to Darren. Dabs at Darren and is like, what's going on? Like, apparently they're like best friends. I didn't even know this. And I'm here trying to be like all serious about, trying to not focus on what's going on. But I didn't realize that Darren and him were like super close. They practiced together
Yeah.
and all that. So I kind of felt like an idiot in that moment. But but then I end up, he ended up saying hello to everyone, and then you just realize, that these people are,
Some
although they're
people.
celebrities, they're just normal people, and he was very respectful, very cool, just very normal. And so I think the image of the whole McLaren and the media and everything just makes you think that it's something extra, but it's just like a normal thing. It's just a normal tall fella with a massive hand, I must say. When he shook my hand, I was like, "Damn, your hand is huge." But and yeah, then you just realize he's normal, and then the tie comes around, and I'm selected to play number two. Obviously, he's playing number one, and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play Hurkacz. I don't think he was top 10 at the time, but obviously he was at
Right
one
after.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you watch all these matches of him against Federer and what's not. So, and then at that point, I just kind of went into my bubble. I kind of just went, try to get focused on bringing my best level. I knew that I didn't have any expectations. Nobody had any expectations on me, so I could
Yeah.
just kind of play. And I remember my sister came down to Poland to watch it as well because she lives in Europe, and so that was just an extra motivation for me because she hadn't seen me play tennis in what felt like forever. So I was
Yeah.
kind of just focusing on all the positives because I mean it was just a huge opportunity for me. And I remember in the beginning we were warming up, and then he comes to the net, and I'm giving him lobs, and he like does this jump smash. I'm like, yo, this guy is a giant. Like I never played anybody that he seemed bigger than anybody I played before, but like he's huge, but still like like sometimes you play really tall guys and they're like all out of control, can't move.
Yeah.
Like he's huge. The guy is, I would say, what I felt was his biggest strength was his movement, which is
Yeah.
crazy, because obviously he has the power, obviously he has the timing, obviously he's super smart about everything he does. So in the beginning, yeah, I was nervous and I wanted to have a good start, so I put a lot of pressure on myself to have a good start, and then I think I get broken, and I'm getting into rallies at this point, and I'm just realizing like I feel late on every single ball. Like for some reason he's moving his ball around, and I'm just late to it, and I
Yeah.
think that goes to his movement. He moves so well, and then he takes the ball so early that he can make you feel rushed at all times. But he's rushing me, but at the same time, he's comfortable in the rally,
Yeah.
So I think that was a shock in the beginning. I was wondering why am I not playing how I normally play, but I think that was the reason. And I lose it for a set quick, 6-love. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, don't tell me this is gonna be like love and
Like,
love, Like I don't want this. I want to at least put up something here, I want to, because this is the first match of the tie, you're kind of trying
yeah.
to make a impact for the rest of the tie. So I think he went up then 4-1, or yeah, maybe 4-1 in the second. And at that point, I think he thought he probably had it. He didn't have to do anything else. But I think he had a little bit of a loss of concentration, and I was able to kind of slip back into the match. And at that point, I was getting more comfortable with the speed of things. And I think I got it back to 5-all. And at that point, I'm like, all right, 5-all. I got chances here. And I think I was serving, and it was 30-all, 5-all, 30-all, very important. And what got me to that point is me just playing off of instinct and just doing whatever I feel like doing. Like I see the
Yeah.
ball and I just do whatever I want. If I want to chip and come in, I'll do that. Like I just play like how I wanted to play. For some reason, I decided to hit a drop shot at 30-all, and this is hard court, right? Nobody knows me for drop shots. Okay, like
Yeah.
this is not my go-to play. I don't know why I decided to do this, but I decided it, and I went with it because I was just doing whatever I felt like doing. And obviously I missed a drop shot, lost that point, and then he probably hit a good return or something, went down 6-5, and just like that the match was over. He hits 3-4 serves. Like his serve is something I have to mention as well. Like I'm hitting his returns like over my shoulder every single time, and the ball is like the placement is unreal. I remember in the second set I was having looks, and if I had a break point, he would just slice T on the line and just moving away from me, and it felt like he could do that in his sleep. Like it didn't seem like he was really like that was anything out of the norm. Like he could put that serve wherever he wanted to. So I remember I had to take a step in and kind of just go off of reflexes and try that, and was able to break him a couple times to get back into it. But it was just a good experience for me, man. I think the one thing I regret is not going to him after and asking him like, oh, what did you see? What could I have done better? But obviously he was super busy with the media and all the people and stuff, so I didn't really get a chance. But I mean, it was unreal experience.
A lot of people don't get the chance to do that.
No, I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy to say the least. But I think it opened my eyes as well. I think that match kind of showed me as well that, I do have the level, and it's just I have to, if I put things together and I become more consistent over extended period of time, I can, compete with anyone. So it was good. It was good for me.
After that match, like with your, like how you seeing that ball, you see how guys at that level play.
Yeah.
What do you think separates like top 50 guys from, let's say, like top 500?
Top 50 from top 500. If I compare it to the matches I've been playing recently, I think the ball comes back a lot faster. I felt like he could, like how there's always like, you go across until there's a ball to goal line.
Yeah.
I don't know if my ball was, not amazing enough, but I felt like he could go line on any ball that he wanted to. Like the change of direction and stuff just seemed super easy for him. And as I say, his movement, like if you go and watch a clip of him now, I feel like his base is so wide, and then he gets to every ball in almost 2 steps, and it's just like very powerful movement. And then once he's there, everything is a lot easier because then he could do what he wants. So I think he didn't give me anything free at all, like in the first set especially. I felt like he's just amazing player playing against this college player. You would maybe think that he was gonna try and like show off or something like that. Nah, none of that. He was so disciplined and like not overdoing it. Just doing what was necessary to get the point. So I think these are the kind of things that as you get so much higher up in the rankings, like they realize how to handle all these different situations. And it's just another level with the serve as well. I have to mention that again. It's different level with the serve. So
yeah, because they, like a lot of people don't realize during tournaments, they sometimes, like those top guys, they try to conserve energy.
Yeah.
Like they don't necessarily do too much. They just do what it takes to get the job done. Who's a guy that does that a lot?
That
I'm curious.
Yeah, you mean like, what do you mean? Explain it.
Like I can't remember, but I was watching the French, and I think Djokovic was playing someone that I guess a lot of people don't know. Like, so basically, just we know Djokovic's level compared to anyone else. So like you said, just not doing too much. Like, he's not having extended rallies for no reason. Like, if he has the chance, just put the ball away next point. You know what I mean?
I think actually, if I have to say something, I feel like actually what was happening, what I expected him to do is like bomb a serve and then bomb a next shot. Like how you're thinking conserve energy. But what I actually meant was that he was not bombing the next shot. He was
working the point.
I feel like he knew that he was more consistent and he could play at a faster tempo than I could. So I felt like he just stayed comfortable in that sense because he knew he was going to move around easy and make balls. So I feel like that's what he did actually. He didn't try to like do anything crazy because I think he knew that he didn't have to.
So he just stayed solid. Like,
exactly.
He knew that he had like the ball quality necessary, the ball depth. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So he was just letting me make the errors because he knew that he could play at a tempo that I've never seen, but for him was very normal. So I think that was very. I think I took a lot away from that too, because when I went back to college and I played someone that I felt was better, that I was better than them, I wasn't trying to be, you know, I wasn't trying to show off and hit these crazy shots. I was just doing what was necessary and staying comfortable on the court. So I think that was a learning lesson.
So, yeah, that's so. Who, like, you're from Barbados, and we all know DK. We know Darian King. Was he like one of your role models growing up? Seeing like guy play U.S. Open, top 100 in the world from
Yeah,
Barbados. Like, how
yeah,
did that help you? Like being around him.
for sure. I think it first started when I was young, just selling flags in the crowd, watching him play Davis Cup. I I think that's when it started, and I realized, obviously the tennis just looked different to what I had seen before. So that for me was already amazing. I was, shocked with the way he was playing and the level he was bringing, and it seemed like if he would come home and he would win every single Davis Cup match. And for me, it was just like, how is he doing this? How is
Yeah,
like he's so confident at home. To be honest, I could tell you that up to now, and he just knows how to win in Barbados, but all over the place. We recently went to Colombia, and he put up these two wins that were unreal, playing such good tennis.
yeah,
So I was lucky that at 15 I was able to join the team, and he was, playing great tennis at that point, and I think they had just got into Group One, or maybe just left Group One. I can't remember. It was him and Hayden Lewis that were kind of pushing the limits with the team.
yeah,
And I always say, like, it's so commendable how when I stepped into the scene, that they were so willing to share all the information that they had learned over the years. And it was like they made me feel comfortable from the beginning. And obviously at 15 you're jumping into this team, you kind of feel out of place, like, do you really deserve to be there? You're the junior on the team and stuff. But
yeah.
from the beginning they were super cool with me, and yeah, the connection within our team is something that people underestimate, and something that helps us pull through a lot of matches. So I think it's because it's been happening for so long now. So but yeah, I mean, I watched his US Open match at a sports bar in Barbados. We had a crowd, and everybody was cheering for him, and it was a historical moment for the country. And yeah, for him to be one of my closest friends now is kind of crazy to think about, because before he was just someone I looked up to, and now I could call him and ask him for anything. So he definitely had a big part of me wanting to play, and I think that might be a driving force for me too, because I want there to always be someone for the younger generation to look up to, and to make them want to aspire to be a tennis player, and or even go just to Division 1 tennis or whatever it might be, to get them into the sport. So that's kind of where my head is at with it.
Yeah, because just like how he was a role model for you and you were able to,
Exactly.
get that relationship,
Exactly.
you could do the same thing for the
Yeah, I
younger
mean,
kid.
tennis is such a good way for so many different things. Like for me and you already with getting a degree, and then
Yeah,
from young we were traveling, seeing all these different places that we probably would have never seen if we didn't play tennis. So,
yeah,
and then meeting so many different people. Like I would have never met you if it wasn't for tennis. Like tennis
exactly.
is just, it brings you a lot. So
It
if I
brings
could
people.
have an impact on bringing more people to the sport at a young age, then I would try to do that.
Yeah, it brings people together in so much different ways, like connections. Like,
Mm.
shoot, if Barbados didn't have tennis, I would have never met Rochelle, and then
Exactly.
I would have never met like pro tennis players like Milos and
Yeah.
those type of
Yeah, you
guys.
probably met a lot of. I see a lot of pros going through Bahamas. We don't got
Crazy.
none of that in Barbados. So
Like we have this, like Mark Knowles has like a event in December every
mm.
year, like a fundraiser.
Yeah.
Bro, this year I met. well, I knew Taylor Townsend for like 2 years now. But like Taylor Townsend, you got James Blake, John McEnroe, Andy Roddick.
Yeah, yeah.
Pagula was there, Pospisil, Milos.
Big names.
Big names. But it's like, it's just crazy because a lot of people don't understand, like, these are just normal people. Like,
Yep.
they want to do the same things we want to do.
Yep.
They just have a lot of publicity,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
great at their sport. And I think that gets, like, blindsided sometimes. Like, I think a lot of people start to hate on them.
Yeah. And then also the media shapes them into different things, different people.
Personality.
Yeah, exactly, that they might not necessarily be. So
Yeah.
we all assume that, all the people that watch sports and stuff, it's kind of like always like assume that we know how people are. It's just, you don't know. You never know. So,
Don't know. Like, I could say with 100% certainty that Milos Raonic is one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. But a lot of people would never know that. But
yeah.
I'm talking like one of the funniest people. Like
Because he
because
seems
when we
like for me, I've never met him. I would
yeah,
say he's very serious. I would say
yeah,
he's very focused on, the tennis and just being like head down. But I know you have a whole different side of things. So
because like I'm a LeBron fan like by heart,
yeah.
and he doesn't like LeBron at all. So he not doesn't like LeBron, but like he
Yeah.
feels as though Jordan is a better basketball player.
He's
Bro,
old
I'm talking
school.
like random days I just get memes. Like he sent me a meme and be like, "This year goat," like shit like that. Like Jacoby, like because we used to play for push-ups,
Yeah.
and one day Jacoby just was double or nothing, double or nothing. He went up to 30,000 push-ups. I don't know if you saw like just in those episodes,
Yeah. I think I
but he
saw
was
it.
like so now Jacoby has to put eyelashes on his first car. And he gotta dye his hair pink. Like this the type of stuff we be doing, and it's just crazy. And then being around those guys, you see like the difference between like the way they train.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
some guys they just when they practice they just go straight at it. They can't like joke around or anything. And then you see some guys like they need it because I think it's just tennis is such a individual sport that you really have to find what works for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a lot of people can't be serious for like a whole match or like
Yeah.
a practice because mentally like
Yeah.
they just can't do it.
Yep. That's something I'm realizing out here too. I always been more on the serious side of things, like making sure I do what I need to do, like fitness and all that kind of stuff. But I think I took a trip to Egypt, and I think I stayed there for 3 weeks. And I remember after my first week, for some reason, I just felt like everything was a little too serious. Yeah, everything was too serious, and luckily I had a good group of people around me, and we started hanging out and what's not, and then second week now, I play again against the same person, and I lose even worse than the first week. And then I realized, all right, I actually eased off too much. I stopped doing my routines. I stopped going to bed at a certain hour. So then third week now, I was able to realize, all right, I need to be serious. I need to do what I need to do, but at the same time, I need to have like a separation as well. So it's always like finding the balance between how far do you go on one side of the spectrum compared to the other, and it's for sure as a tennis player that's something that's very important to figure out who you are and what works for you. And I think in college for some reason I never had to think about these things. I don't know, for some reason in college like you just know you have to be loud. You have to.
Yeah,
You know.
you just have to really you just have to be loud.
You just gotta be loud. Like you have to just have this crazy energy, and you're just gonna have to play aggressive tennis most of the time because you're gonna play doubles. It's very quick. So it's all less
And then you
thinking.
also get it back. You also get the energy back to you.
Yep. Yeah.
Compared to like probably you playing now, like you scream, you don't have somebody screaming, "Let's go Kaipo back at."
I am completely different to how I was in. When I look back at how I was in college, like sometimes I even cringing at myself, like damn, like I wasn't really doing that, but it's so normal. It's so normal there, and you have to do it, and that's actually is good to do it there. And I won't say it wasn't fun. It was very fun.
Yeah.
Like just screaming, and you and your teammates, and it was good. It was good vibes. But I won't be doing that at all out here. Like whatever I'm doing is more internal and more just for myself, not to for somebody else to hear. That's not really the case anymore. So college is definitely different to the pros in that way.
Yeah, like I saw, because Bublik had that run at the French Open. Like I was watching, and they were talking about it, and he was saying like he was ready to quit like tennis
Hmm.
because most of his points, I think, came from Wimbledon or something,
Yeah,
and he, I think he just said he was losing, like he was losing too much matches,
yeah.
and then his coach or something was like, "Let's go to Vegas."
Oh
When
yeah, yeah.
he
Switch
said
racket. He switched racket
the
too.
Rocket went to Vegas. He said he blacked out a couple of nights, and
I always question if these stories are like true or if they make it seem more like extreme, but I actually believe he would do that.
bro, they dead serious,
I
bro.
believe he would do that.
They actually dead serious.
But
And
going
then I think,
actually thinking about the energy thing, like you watch Alcaraz versus Sinner, I would assume
of course,
madness,
crazy.
madness. But
I was watching that. I didn't know what I was watching,
bro,
bro.
it was madness at the end, especially. But what do you think of like the energy Alcaraz brought compared to Sinner? Because I felt like I was watching it on my TV. It was Turkish, so I didn't really have commentators or anything like that. But
Yeah,
I felt like Alcaraz was definitely bringing an energy to impact onto Sinner, and I felt like it was working. I don't know. You tell me what you think about that, but I felt
no, most definitely, bro. Like,
uh,
I think with because we know Sinner's not like
that's not his
Sinner's
person.
do
Yeah,
like he do one of these like here and there after a good point, but
yeah.
like it's not him to basically.
I still felt like he didn't do that though. Not even.
Yeah,
I still felt like
he
he didn't
didn't.
do that.
I feel as though after, because honestly, like for the beginning of the match up until like that 5-3-40
He
love,
was cruising.
like he was kind of
He
cruising.
was. Yeah.
I think he didn't necessarily need it,
Hmm.
but then like I think after that point, like we know how that feels.
Yeah, it's true.
Like how a lead you choke. Like
It's true.
I think he was fighting so much mental battles,
Yeah, that
like
that he
between
didn't
like
realize that Alcaraz was like taking all the energy. Like he
yeah
was
he was
getting all this energy from the crowd, and I felt like maybe his box or somebody should have told him like you gotta get the energy up. Like
something
yeah, something going. Like if not, it's gonna be you against Alcaraz and everybody in this huge stadium. So
exactly because 5-3-40 love. And it's this not like just a
no,
normal round. Like you playing for your first French Open title, a Grand Slam.
to
You
beat
playing
Alcaraz finally after like 4 times.
finally beat Alcaraz. He's the defending champion.
Yeah,
You have all this expectation. Number one in the world. Just came off a ban.
yeah,
Like I feel as though like maybe not, but I feel as though subconsciously there's so much running through his head.
yeah,
And then the biggest one of them all, you had 3 match points, three
yeah.
championship points. Like,
And in
bro,
any
after that, oh, I'm tight. I don't care. I don't care what type of mental training you do. You're tight.
yeah,
Like
in any
you're
match,
tight.
you play any match, you have 3 match points, and you find yourself like in a third set or something. It's tough. But you just name 10 to 15 different reasons why it'll be even tougher. So you
Exactly.
can't. I mean, it's easy, so easy for people to then talk about it and say this and that, like how I am. But that's different level of everything.
But the way Alcaraz handled that match was
I think I saw something that like from him that I never,
seen.
obviously we all knew that he's like this crazy, good tennis player and like his
That was
everything about him. But that was different. Something there was
that was
different.
like I was watching that match. I was like sometimes some matches get kind of boring. That match kept you engaged for the whole 5 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah, bro. At the end,
Like
I was watching. I think it was like 30. You remember the 5-6 30 all. So this is
yes,
like
What did he hit?
Like
The
a
angle? No,
no.
not the
Well,
angle.
first it
The
was
angle
Sinner
was
hit a
yeah.
return, right?
Yeah.
Like the best return not that I've ever seen, but like
The,
in the
the line,
corner. It,
yeah, the line return.
when he scoops, he slices his forehand to get it back across. You remember, and it lands like on the baseline. I'm like,
Oh, bro, he was on the run and then
he
bro,
hooked it from behind him.
and then it went right in the corner.
I was like, nah, this is not happening right now. I was like, nah.
You're not gonna catch a break though. Like,
But
let's really talk about it.
any
Like, he could.
other day, I feel like he was winning that point, and that's another match point right there. For
That
some
was it.
reason, the guy got that ball onto the baseline, back cross court.
Well, and the thing is, we know Sinner. Sinner's like one of the best ball strikers in the game. Sinner doesn't give you any time, but it felt like Alcaraz was rushing him, like
Yeah,
in a way, you know.
yeah,
And that also, I think Sinner's one of Sinner's best attributes is like his ability to move the ball around at such a high speed.
yeah.
But I feel like him pulling Alcaraz off the court or moving him was working in Alcaraz's favor in some way. Like
Yeah,
you just see Alcaraz moving. Like I feel as though the ball was for Alcaraz. Like he was seeing the ball so big that it just felt like everything was in his strike zone.
yeah. That's the thing. Like, if he's seeing it big, I think most people already know his movement is like unmatched. It's unreal. Like, if I could choose someone's movement, I would choose his. I don't know about you, but
For sure.
if he's then seeing the ball on top of that movement, then I guess that matches what happens. I don't know.
Because he couldn't put the ball in the court for a good
Yeah.
portion of the match.
Yeah, the
Like,
beginning started
it's
slow. Like I was
yeah,
like, all
he
right,
started, and then he even got chippy with his box. Like he was like, I don't know what to do, and then
yeah,
come back from bro 3 championship points. You saved like
Well,
in a
I
grand.
wanted Alcaraz to win for some reason. I don't know why. I don't really like have a favorite player or anything like that. But when Sinner lost that game, and then I saw how things were turning, I was like, I feel bad for this. Like now I feel bad for Sinner, bro. Like this is tough.
Shit, it's crazy. So who do you think's gonna win Wimbledon this year?
To be honest, Alcaraz.
I guess.
To be honest, I feel like Wimbledon. I feel like he's better. Like, has Sinner won Wimbledon? I don't even know. No.
Oh, Sinner's Grand Slam's only on hard court.
Yeah,
Australian.
I feel like since
Did he win US Open?
Alcaraz has done it already, I feel like he's probably the favorite. But
No.
who knows? I don't even try to make these predictions because you never know.
Too unpredictable.
Yeah.
You think Djokovic gonna get another one or no?
He didn't get too far. He got a lot further than everybody expected, I feel like, in Roland Garros. I think it's possible. I was always a Federer man growing up, so... But I guess it's already... the separation's already been made, so at this point it doesn't really matter anymore if he gets the extra one compared to Federer and Nadal. But I wouldn't be like... I would be happy for him if he did it, because I feel like he's, given so much. So if he gets it, he gets it. I won't be surprised, to be honest. But the draw he had in French Open was too.
Sure.
That was too tough to. I don't think.
Something serious.
Like I told myself, if he won French after beating Zverev, then Sinner, then Alcaraz, then
he deserved
I
it.
would bow down to the guy. Like, obviously, yeah, that would be unreal.
That would be insane.
I think that would be the most unexpected out of all his Grand Slams. I don't know.
For sure. You beat.
Yeah, especially because
He's
of
beating Alcaraz and Sinner back to back.
yeah, and then the lead up he had as well to the tournament. Like, I told myself, if he got it, that would be something different.
Yeah. Who do you think, like, okay, I have 2 guys that I think could be up there, but do you think Jacob Menzik and João Fonseca are going to be up there with, like, Alcaraz and Sinner in the future?
Mensick, and if I had to choose one of the two of them, I would probably lean towards Fonseca.
Really?
I don't know if it's because of all the hype around him or what, but
Yeah.
I know I just talk to people that have seen him in person, and from what they're telling me, from what they see, it's like, okay, like I can now understand the hype. Like they make it seem like it's something out of this world. And I feel like
Yeah.
for you to be with Sinner and Alcaraz, you have to be out of this world.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wouldn't say that I expect it from either one of them. But
Yeah.
if it happens, then I won't be super surprised. Or maybe I would be, to be honest. Just because I know how good Alcaraz, and I was watching Alcaraz when he was playing challengers, like, and I would just, for some reason, like, I just saw him one time on the Challenger YouTube page, and I watched him, and I was like, yo, this guy is different. Like, I just started watching all his videos and stuff. I started realizing that, like, he's unreal. And then obviously he turned out to be who he is now, and I didn't see that coming either. So I didn't realize he would be that good either. So I guess you can't really, I guess I'm not really good at that prediction stuff. But yeah, you gotta be out of this world to be with those guys. Like,
Because I'm really trying to think about, like, after Djokovic.
like who's? I feel like there's someone else that we were missing that was supposed to be with them. But I can't remember. Who?
Like with Zhao and Mensik?
No, with Sinner and Alcaraz that then ended up not really. Like, who is the? I feel like at one point Tennis TV or somebody was like predicting the next big three. Who would that have been? Alcaraz, Sinner, and I don't know, but
I'm trying to think about next gen.
yeah, I feel like there was someone else that they were putting in the mix, but that was probably a year ago, and I know that whoever that person was they've already separated themselves.
Yeah.
So, like, these guys, when they won the last 6 Grand Slams, like,
Yeah, they got it.
crazy.
Like, actually. You think Foe is ever gonna get a title?
I could tell you I would love to see it. I could tell you that, but
I don't think it's gonna happen on clay or grass though.
nah.
I think if he gets it, it's U.S. Open.
Exactly, for sure. I think he knows that. I feel like he knows that too.
Yeah.
I remember he lost to Shelton. For me, I was kind of disappointed with that. I felt like he should have won that one. Was that that was a quarters?
Yeah, in the quarters, and I think he lost in 4.
Yeah, for me, I thought like he would have pulled through that one, but obviously playing Shelton, and he's also unreal and has all these weapons for a fast court in US Open too. So that's tough, but it would have been good if he won that one and gave himself another chance in the semifinal. But the thing about Grand Slam is, like, it takes so much to even get to the quarters, to get to the semifinals. Like, you hear all these guys talking about it recently, like, you butting good players in 3rd, 4th round, like I that's why I don't even try to do these predictions. I know it's good to have conversation about it and stuff, but to be honest, when people talk about it, I'm like, I never know. You never know what it's tough.
But I have like a pretty unorthodox question. If you had to build like the perfect player, but you only could use Caribbean tennis players, how would you build your perfect player?
Caribbean tennis players. Okay, the ones that I know.
Or like players in our region. Players in our region.
So we're talking. Well, I'll do the Caribbean islands because I feel like.
Yeah, do the Caribbean.
So we're talking like serve, forehand, backhand. Are we talking about?
Let's do serve, forehand, backhand, volleys, and mental.
So serve.
You could reuse players if you need to.
Yeah, I might have to because I don't have that many players in my head. But if I go serve, I'm taking Hayden Lewis. I don't even know if you know him. But
yeah, he's lefty, right?
Lefty.
Yeah.
I would take his serve. I think his serve in big moments is very underestimated. And then, but to compare him to someone else, I was thinking Blaze's kick serve is pretty unreal too. So, but I would take the lefty advantage. with Hayden. Because I feel like Hayden, he can slice it and he can kick it. So like it's very
Yeah,
uncomfortable to return.
yeah,
So I'll take his serve. Forehand, I would take Blazer's forehand.
yeah, for sure.
The way he moves around his backhand and the spin he
Bro, he be
generates, and
skipping into like a 110 mile per hour forehand.
yeah, yeah, his forehand is unreal. Backhand, who's backhand?
You could do normal backhand or slice.
Okay, I feel like when you said slice,
I feel like we're thinking the same person. We have to be.
who you thinking? You gotta say it first. You gotta say it.
I gotta say Justin.
I was thinking Justin. Yeah, I know. I was thinking more. He would definitely. If I didn't say him, he would be calling me out. So yeah, I'll give him the slice. The thing is, like, I'm thinking Darian, and I know
Yeah,
Justin.
Darius is
Darian would.
solid.
I mean, Justin would agree. Like, Darian's feel in general is just like
Yeah,
crazy.
yes.
So I know Justin would. If I said Darian's slice, he wouldn't really like. But Justin definitely hits more slices, and he would probably have more of the reps on it. So I give Justin the slice.
Yeah.
Backhand. I see you hit some back. I give you the backhand. I see you been hitting the backhand.
I take that. I take that. I take that.
um, so I got serve, forehand, backhand, volleys.
Yeah, think about this one.
This one is.
Think about this. I got the play on top of my head too.
Thing is, I feel like if I'm missing out players in my head,
Yeah.
like where's the player you thinking of? Which island, which country?
I'm not gonna tell you. It's a giveaway.
Is it a
Dad
giveaway?
giveaway. Dad giveaway.
But the only ones I could think of right now is Bahamas, Jamaica, Barbados. Um, I know I'm missing out players.
He might be tight if he see this.
Oh, I know. Wait, you talking Antigua?
Jody,
Yeah, I know you're talking Antigua.
top in doubles right now.
Yeah,
Challenger.
right now he's feeling himself too. He's feeling himself
Yeah,
in the. Yeah, I practiced with him recently. The talk he has on the court is crazy these days. You could tell he's a confident individual right now. So with the confidence, I'm gonna give Jody volleys. And then what else we got? That's pretty much
mental,
mental.
mental. That's what.
I haven't used Darren, so I gotta get Darren something. I get Darren mental
That's
because
solid.
I tell you recently in Colombia, like we were playing in altitude on clay, and I feel like for everyone the conditions were tough, and we got there 2 weeks early. Never did this before. We got there 2 weeks early to get used to these conditions.
Yeah,
Maybe we were overthinking it or something, but like we were not getting to the point where we wanted to be. And I remember match day comes and the guy was just different person. Like on the court, like he had no more problems. Like he just locked in, I think. And I was talking to my friend Steven about it, and I was like, I gotta message this guy and ask him like what clicked, because right now I'm playing at altitude too, so I wanted to know the secret. And Steven and I were saying like it was probably just his mental, like he just locked in. And he just realized the situation. We were playing to get into Group 1, and I think,
you realize we all need that.
yeah, he just locked in, and he beat the number one first. No, he beat the number two on the first day. Played doubles with Steven, completely like, that was Steven's first doubles match, and just had Steven feeling comfortable from the beginning of the match to the end, and then went on to the second day and beat their number one. So I think it was definitely just like a mental click that just got him to lock in on that day. So on those 2 days, so I gave him that. So I think that's a good play. That's a good damn player right there. That player is definitely top 100, bro.
That player top 100 easy.
For sure.
Yeah, because I mean, like we all know he could play at that level. So
Yeah.
like being able to see that, that's tough. That is tough.
Yep.
How do you feel about like because I talked to a lot of the pros. Like, how do you feel about how almost 50% of their money is being taken by
Yeah.
taxes?
You mean the
Because
the whole Alcaraz thing?
like 54% of his earnings
Yeah.
from government.
It's
So
mad.
it's like,
That's mad.
imagine the people at the lower end. Like,
Yeah.
you get 40K, you only get 20. Like,
Yep. I feel like too. I don't know how it really works, to be honest, but I feel like also if you get taxed in that country and then you go back to your country and let's say your country has income taxes too, and you got to pay more on top of that. Like, I don't know how drastic it gets, but I mean it has to be pretty drastic because you look and see the French government took more money than Alcaraz earned himself. So obviously
Yeah.
there's, you watch, there's business people that find ways around certain things, but there's only so much you could do. And at the end of the day, they're taking half the guy's money. That's tough. But
Yeah.
how do I feel about it? I mean, I feel like, as you say, in the lower, levels, like not the Alcaraz, like winning the tournament, the ones that are getting first round and second round, like it's
It's
tough
tough.
because as a professional athlete, you're spending so much money. You hear all these guys, even like Tiafo recently talking, like, they're still having to pay for the hotels. They're having to pay for the, travels. Like, obviously, they have their sponsors and what's not. Like, but at the end of the day, money is still always, you always have to spend money. Obviously, the higher up you go, probably the less you got to spend. Yeah, I mean, it's you spend money not just at the time, but you spent a lot of money to get to the level that you're at.
Yeah.
Like starting from young, we've all been, paying a coach. We all is something that,
For sure.
yeah, is an investment. But um, I mean, I think everybody in tennis would love to see more money going to the players. More people living off the sport.
Yeah.
The level you have to be at to just make a living on this sport is a level that is very much so underestimated to the regular
Yeah.
person. So
That's why I think they need to make it more. I think they're trying to, but they need to make it more sustainable for people who actually want to be professional tennis players.
yeah,
Because I feel as though once you break into like that top, like 400, top 300, like
hmm.
I feel as though you should be earning like a reasonable income to
Yeah,
keep playing. Because like at the end of the day, you're like top 300 in the world.
it's
Like
mad. Like
that's that's crazy.
it's
And then like other sports, like for example basketball, you have guys who never touch the court making
yeah,
millions of
yep,
dollars just sitting on the side. So
yeah. To compare tennis to, I feel like that's two different worlds. Like the sports where you just get a salary
yeah,
compared to tennis or even golf or like these sports. Like,
it's based on your performance, bro.
yep, you can't just like I saw this recent interview with a basketball player. He's talking about, yeah, once he signed the contract, his level in practice, he must say, the motivation had dropped a little bit. If you become a good tennis player, like how you say top 300, and your motivation in practice drops, like
You back
you're
down.
done. Like, you
Back
can't
down.
do it. So I think, there's definitely a lot of talk about tennis, the difficulty of it, and I think rightfully so, it deserves the talk because
Yeah,
not an easy sport.
at all. What's what's three tips that you would give younger Caribbean athletes right now that want to play professional tennis?
Younger Caribbean athletes, three tips. Um, to be honest, first tip would be to find the right coach from young. I mean, I can't really give that to the athlete because obviously they're a kid, and that might be more of a decision of the parent or what's not. But I just think if you have a good coach from the beginning, setting the fundamentals from the beginning is so useful then in the future to not have to worry about, you know, making those corrections. Like the it's not the time back then is so valuable because the way you use it will then determine how much time you have to use in the future on those same fundamental things, if you get what I mean. So I think that's really important. And then I think um, going out of the Caribbean island as much as possible from young and seeing what's going on around the world is very useful because people could tell you what's happening, but you're not really taking it on as a youngster. But when you go out there and you see it and you see the level, then when you go
Yeah.
back home, you would realize, all right, you gotta do a lot more than you probably think. And
Yeah.
the people that you're going up against in the States and what's not, they're playing twice a day. They're in the gym every day, and um, they're working on different parts of their game for hours every single day. So I would say getting out is really important. And then one last one, and this is after, like, obviously you gotta first enjoy it. You gotta first realize it's your passion. Like that's for sure. I guess this is just more specifically for Caribbean players. So I would say the coach, using your time in the beginning really, really, what's the word I'm looking for? Using your time in the beginning as best as you can, getting out as much as you can, and then last tip, I would say, probably kind of getting rid of. I don't know. I want to say, like, getting rid of the distractions. I feel like in the islands sometimes there's a lot of
I feel like
distractions.
you could get your mindset could shift like really easy. Like you
Yeah,
could,
like I feel
I
like
feel like you could settle like quickly. Like
yeah, I
that's
feel
an
like
issue.
you have to really be 100% with it. And I think
Yeah, you have to be hungry because sometimes that like doubt could set in and you just like
yeah,
I'm not gonna.
or
I'm
I think it's harder too because, like, you don't have that many people, or if any people around you that are having the same goal as you. Like,
not,
sometimes these guys are the people you're playing with are just there because their parents want them to do some kind of activity, which is fine. But for you to get out of an environment like that and to go all the way to tennis, like, you have to kind of be in your own little bubble, and you kind of have to be so focused on what your goal is, and every time you step on the court, it has to be with purpose. Like, obviously this is when you're at a certain age. When you're super young, you're not trying to take it too seriously. I don't think is I think it's good to, like, play other sports and stuff, but at some point you have to put your head down and really get to work. So I think from my experience, you could tell me how it was by you, but, like, I always had that kind of mindset of, like, going far in the sport, and I always used to get very frustrated with my environment because I used to play, and sometimes I had 8 people on my court. We just and time hitting the ball was limited, and then you
yeah,
have like a social gathering right next to the court going on, and people just joking about all different things that are going on in the court. Oh, he missed the ball, like da da da, like he didn't, like, just, I would say, distractions,
yeah,
and if you can blot all of that out, it'll give yourself the best chance. I feel like.
yeah. I think back to what you said with like having a good coach. I think having a good coach kind of sets the path for like
Hmm.
getting those other things.
Yeah,
Like for me, I think I got really lucky, like getting Rochelle.
yeah,
'Cause I think she started being my coach from I was like 14. So I think that really helped, like having someone
yeah,
that can teach you how to be. First of all, because tennis is a sport where you have to be professional.
yeah,
So like, being professional, taking care of what you need to take care of.
yeah.
Because I think on the islands we get kind of
Complacent.
lackadaisical.
Yeah,
Like yeah, like we know like in the Caribbean we have a lot of really talented tennis players who could just wake up after like a drunk night and go play the best tennis of their life. So I
it's
think
crazy that you know
you
that too.
know yeah, bro. Like trust, I know that, bro. I know who just wake up and go play the match of their life.
Yeah,
But it's like that's not a sustainable lifestyle if you actually want to get far in the sport.
yeah,
So I think actually, setting times where you have to practice and just having a schedule, being
yeah.
consistent.
Exactly. Schedule. Like,
Yeah,
like how when I went to Florida, like, it was clockwork. You knew at this time you had to be there, at this time you're doing that, and then bam, bam, you're busy the whole day. Like from mobility in the morning to practice, like feeding in the morning to then mental work they would do for half an hour and then take a break. And then afternoon is just points, and you're
Yeah.
working on different scenarios, and we don't have that system in Barbados. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's tough with school. I think in Barbados, I don't know how it's in Bahamas, but there's not many. I know one person on the top of my head that does online school and is able to train like during the day, but it's not really like an option, I think.
No,
And
not
I'm not gonna say that I think you should do that, to be honest. I I don't know, that's a tough one because the online school gives you time to do, the training and stuff. But I personally I feel like I liked, still going to school until a certain age.
interactions with people.
Yeah. But if you could find a way to, do the schooling and still get in 2 sessions of tennis every day, and then you have a lot more time than you think. It's just, as you say, a lot of the time that we have in the islands, we're focus on all these random stuff instead of actually, like, getting stuff done. So it's not an easy, I would say, is I think you would agree, is a harder place to do it from, for sure.
Yeah,
um but I think if you have the right environment, the right people around you, at least they can, you know, guide you in the right way. So
yeah. And then just sometimes even the support, like
yeah,
I feel as though, but I would say this, like I think you could tell me if you feel the same way.
yeah,
I think being from the island compared to like the U.S., I think is kind of better in the sense that, like, how could I say this? Not, like, I feel as though you get more recognition for being a
mm.
really good tennis player,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look at me. Like
Like,
I
by,
played Davis Cup from
yeah,
15. If I had that level in the States, like, not even thinking about anything like that. So um, I guess I see where you're coming from in that way.
yeah. But in terms of the support, it's just
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
not how it
Because you
should be.
might have the recognition, you might have your name in the newspaper and what's not, but
But that's not doing it. That's
but
not doing
yeah, I
anything.
mean, at the end of the day, if you have all that and then you don't have that much, support behind you, then it's still a tough road.
But I wanted to end with like two questions just for you, like with Barbados and
Yeah.
Davis Cup. I want you to tell me about that feeling that you had when you won that third set match,
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
tie. Let me know how that was.
Yeah. I think to give some con.
Cause I watched the video and I saw like how much emotion
Yeah,
you had
bro.
after.
Cry like a baby, man. I never cry after a match like that. That was I always talk about that is too funny. But to give some context, like before that, I had played Davis Cup matches and I was struggling. It was definitely a level up from what I was used to, and how badly I wanted to have an impact on the team, and then for it to not be going well was very hard. And I had been in that scenario where I was the deciding match and I had lost it. I think it was against Ireland, and this was at home as well. And it was just tough losses to swallow. So when I was able to pull through, and this was to keep us into Group 2 as well. And this is the first Davis Cup match that I had won, and I was lost the first set too, and I was down 4-5 in the second, and yeah, it's just everything, all of that into one to then come back and finish it the way that I finished it, and to have the support on the sideline like how it was just a lot to take in at once. And when I got off the line, it was just obviously it was a lot of relief, but just so happy to finally be able to have that impact that I was searching for such a long time after all the hard work and so it is a feeling like right now I can see it in front of my eyes, but it's very hard to put into words. But as you saw, I won it at first. I screamed, yeah, come on, and then all of a sudden just tears coming. I don't know where it came from. I didn't expect it to happen, but the emotion was just in the air, and the way that the team had run on the court, and we all jumped around and hugged each other, and for it to be in Barbados, my mom was there. At that point, my dad was not living in Barbados, but he had surprised me to come and watch the match. And I had my cousin who plays cricket that came to watch. These are all people that you know haven't really been able to see me on that stage. So
Yeah.
for it all to come together was like it was next level, and to do it for the team as well. Everybody was just supporting me so well. Everybody on the sideline, and it was a big match because you don't want to go down. You don't want to go down in groups. So it was an unmatched feeling, and I remember I was like, everything was worth it. You know, every struggle before, every tough practice, like every tough loss. It all became worth it just within one match. So I think that's
Yeah.
kind of how tennis is. Like it can be so hard for so long, but then when you get that one match, when you get that one win or that one feeling, like you just realize like it's all worth it. So
Yeah, bro.
that was a feeling that will live with me for a long time. And I played against the boy I played against too. He was kind of in my same scenario. He played college, and he played at Youngstown State. And yeah, obviously it was. I felt bad in a way that because he won the first. He was, his country probably thought they had it, and then he lost. So that was definitely tough for him. But it definitely felt like that was my moment, and obviously he will have his moments. But he was a super cool guy as well. So it was just all around a good tie, and yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good feeling.
Yeah, no, that feeling of winning like that a Davis Cup match, nothing could compare
Nope.
to it. I'm not
Oh,
gonna lie.
I heard about yours too. You came out of the gates, first match,
Yeah,
first win.
first first match, first win.
That
So
I
that
gotta put my hands together because let me tell you, it took me a few
it's
times.
not easy,
Let
bro.
me tell you.
It's
So
not
that's
easy.
that's big respect for that for sure.
Yeah, bro. Talking. I don't know. I think like, cause I came off like a really good freshman year, like a solid freshman year.
Yeah.
I think I just like kept that like college tennis
Mm.
mindset rolling,
Yeah.
and I don't know what it was like. I don't know, bro.
Sometimes,
I was feel-
yeah,
I
sometimes
was
you don't know
feeling
what's
it,
going
bro.
on. It's just happening, especially like when you're
Yeah, like,
confident and like everything is just easier when you got that moment that you got matches
yeah,
under your belt. You can right now that you can beat good players. Then it's a good feeling.
yeah.
So
Cause that was like my first. That was my first like match on red clay, like real red clay, and play a guy from Costa Rica,
well,
like,
a good
and it
player
was
if I
like,
have to mention as well.
yeah, good
Yeah,
player, and we. The thing is, bro, I almost choked.
I have no idea
Like
the score or anything like that.
I won 6-4, 7-5, and that closing game I had to serve it out.
Yeah,
Like, we went deuce back and forth.
for a long.
Like I think I in the like I think in that time I had like 7 match points and he had like 6 points, 6 odd points where he could have just taken the game and we would have been in a tie break.
That's why you named it
But
match point. That's why you named the party.
yeah, no, but I gotta shout out Blaze though.
Yeah,
Like because I like couldn't put the point together.
yeah,
I like because a lot of people were watching because they were like, "Who's this?" Like I was like
yeah,
18,
yeah,
so it's like I remember like obviously you probably know the play he's gonna say. He's like kick serve and forehand inside. And I kick, I forehand. I think I did like one forehand. I hit it inside out. Then I had like one forehand inside, and I just cracked it and sprinted to the net.
yeah.
When I saw you hit the ball in the net, Like I just didn't even know how to feel. I screamed at the ground. Like I have a picture of me just
Yeah,
screaming at
yeah.
the ground. I was like,
You did it.
it's like shit.
He's actually the
But
person to tell me about it too, because I was in Jamaica and we were talking about it, and he's the one that was like, "Yeah, man deserves a lot of respect." I was like, "Yeah, it sounds like first match on clay." Like I was like,
yeah,
"That's very very commendable." But
yeah,
Blaze, man, Blaze is a force from the
yeah.
Caribbean for sure. I watched him play the same person actually in CAC.
Yeah, he played him at
Yep.
CAC. He won 10-8 in the
But
third, I
I was
think.
there. I think he was down like 8-4, but he was down big. He was down huge, and he just brought it back. So that's to show how he is too. You know.
Yeah. But to end, I just wanted to ask, like for one, what does it mean to represent
Mhm.
Barbados? And just like, if you had one thing that you could tell, like kids or anybody who may be struggling in tennis or just wants to make tennis like their life,
Yeah.
but may not necessarily have the confidence to like just be all in, like, what would you say?
Yeah. So what was the first question? Sorry, you said, oh, to
How does
represent
it feel?
Barbados.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think I mentioned it in the beginning. It was my childhood dream to do, to represent
yeah,
Barbados, and I think putting on a Barbados shirt from the time I was probably 12 or 13, playing these under 14 tournaments in the region and what's not. Like I just built like a love for doing that, to be able to leave the country knowing that I'm representing all of these people that have such good impact on me, and the island that I have so much love for. And then on top of it, it's such a small island, and sometimes is underestimated what people from there can do. And these are all just things that motivate me to represent the country to the best of my ability. So for me, it means a lot, and is definitely a reason that I am still playing tennis, is to play on the Davis Cup team and to have as much impact as I can in the Barbados community. The tennis community is not huge, and if I can have impact on it, I'm gonna try my best to do so. So, and then if I had to give advice to a youngster that was looking to do the same, um, I would say, if it's what you want to do, then I believe you should do everything in your power to make it happen, because life is too short to have regrets. And I just think that is a beautiful route. It's a route that's going to challenge you as a person, as a player, but 100% you're going to come out as a better person. You're going to look back and you're going to see all the experiences you had, and you're going to realize it was all worth it, and we wouldn't trade it for the world. So I recommend the route. I recommend getting into it. I recommend putting everything you can into it, because if you put everything you can into it, then you're gonna get great things coming out of it. So I would say, yeah, I would put that as my 2 cents, and hopefully more and more youngsters can, from Barbados, from Bahamas, can get into the sport, and can reach new heights, because it's a beautiful thing to see. Such a
yeah,
small places, and then having such big impact is a nice thing to see.
yeah. Because that's one of the main things I want to get like out of like the podcast also, and like just the page in general.
Yeah,
Like I think Justin and those guys are doing like a really good job
yeah,
of like giving insight from like the professionals,
hmm
but I think it's also like a little underrepresented, like the guys like us.
hmm
So I think to show like our people in our
yeah,
region, just people from smaller countries that
yeah,
like it's possible,
yeah. I think,
like no matter what the route is.
yeah, like they're, as you say, they're doing a good job with their podcast, and they're also giving the people from the islands, the inside scoop on what's going on at the top of the game. But there's different levels to the game, and people are in different aspects of their journey. So I feel like the impact you're having as well is very crucial, because the youngsters from our countries are going to be able to see us talking about different topics, and they're gonna be able to kind of learn from our experiences. So I think you definitely have your niche market, and I think the impact is gonna be a very big impact. So
Yeah. But I just want to thank you for hopping on today. I really appreciate
no
that.
worries.
I think we had a solid episode, an hour and 30 minutes.
Flew by.
Solid episode, good talk.
Yeah.
Glad we got some good insight. And yeah, I mean, this was episode of the Match Point podcast. We had Kaipo Marshall, Davis Cup player from Barbados, gonna be one of the best tennis players from the Caribbean. I'm speaking that right now. But if there's anything else you want to leave the people with before we end, you could
Nah.
say something.
I would just say what my dad would say: out and bad.
Out and bad. You all heard it there first.